Alright, so we're back. We're going to pour the epoxy into the lake here and the river. We're going to start getting all that done. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've taped off all of my track work, and I added these dams here. If you want to know more about these, look up in my river series how I made these. It's not a big deal. It's very easy. I put these in to keep the epoxy from rolling out. So I got one on each side. We taped off, and I also added some small people because I want them to be in the water. So there they are. There we go. I added some people playing in the water. I have to put those in now because the water will be going. The water will go around them. They'll be in the water, and I don't want to do. I've seen some other things where they'll cut the people in half and glue them to the top of the water. I want them to be in the water. You'll see them. You'll see their legs all down in the water. So we have to put those in now. So other than that, I think we're ready to go with the epoxy. So let's get set up, and we'll start mixing that up. Okay, so what we're going to use is this Envirotex light stuff. It's really good stuff. I've used it many times before. That's the box that it comes in. This is a 32-ounce box. And what you get in there are these. So this is the hardener, this is the resin, and we mix it on a 1-to-1 ratio. So mixing it on a 1-to-1 ratio, I have this mixing cup that I got a while back. This mixing cup, and it has different ratios on it. I'm just going to use this. It says 1-to-1 right here. So I'm just going to fill the resin up to the first number 1 line, and then I'll fill the hardener up to the number 2 line. And that's all it is. It's very easy. So I'm just going to fill these cups up. Fill this cup, and we're going to start mixing this up. Now it doesn't look crystal clear in here, but it will be, no worries. It has a lot of air bubbles in it, which takes away from the clarity. We'll take care of that once it goes in there. Okay, so we're pretty well mixed here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something else. I'm going to tint this. I'm going to tint this a color. I'm going to tint it a brown color. So I bought these at Hobby Lobby. These are airbrush paints, but they're transparent colors. And I tried this already, and it works pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few drops, and I'm going to put it in here, and we're going to tint this a brown color. 5 drops. We'll start with that. And we'll mix that in, and then you can kind of see what that's going to do. So it doesn't look like much, but it'll color this a little bit. We don't want to go too heavy with the color. Now you can see that that's turned it. It's turned it a color here, but when you look at it on the stick, it's still very clear. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put a couple more drops. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So we're at a total of 8 drops. Yeah, that's better. So we're at a total of 8 drops for this color. So here's what it looks like in the cup. Like this. Looks like that, but when you get it up on the stick, it's still pretty clear, but it's a little darker. So I think we'll go with that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start pouring this in, and this is actually going to go in 2 layers. We're going to put 1 layer of colored and then a layer of crystal clear on top of that once this dries. So let's get the first one in. I'm going to pour this right over here. I don't want to go too heavy up here. So we'll take this and we'll spread this around. And this is self-leveling, so it'll all go in right where it needs to be, and it'll level itself out. And we're just going to kind of let it flow in where it wants to go. Now we want to start teasing it up around the people here. But I don't want to go too far around the people here, because the darker color is the indication of deeper water. So we want to just barely hit that, and then when we do the clear coat over it, we'll finish right up to them. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to breathe on it. It sounds kind of silly, but it does work. I don't know what it is, but okay, so that's about it until we pour the next coat. Alright, so now we're back. I've done the second layer of clear over the tinted color here, so this is actually fairly thick. And I've pulled off the dams. They came off nice, so what we're left with is a little overflap here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to peel off the clear caulk, and that should come off with it. And whatever doesn't come off, we'll trim with a razor knife. Okay, so there we go. All I need now to do with this is some green paint again, and we're just going to touch up all of this and this backside here. These are trimmed, these edges. Now we're pretty much ready to do the wave effects on the waterfall with some dry brushing and all, and this will be pretty well done. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to dry brush the waterfall, and to do that all I'm going to do is get some white paint out, drop that right there, and then we're going to put a little bit on the brush and wipe off most of it. Like that. And then we're just going to come over the top and brush over the tops. Just like that. So we get the effect of the falling water and we can see it. But the dry brushing doesn't allow it to go into all the cracks and then leaves the gaps in the water. So that'll stay like that. We'll call that done. Okay, so I've got the water effects here. And I'm just going to squeeze a pile out onto a piece of paper. Alright. And I'm going to use a toothpick, and we're going to pile this in different places. Like, we know the water is going to fall here. And we want the little peaks and things to go in there. And I'm just dabbing down and lifting. And then the water, we're going to move it out like this. And then we're going to come out here. We're going to make some of these waves up here a little bit heavier. And we're going to come out a little bit further. And a little bit smaller. And then when this dries, it'll look like rough water. The white will go away. I think we're okay with that. We're going to let that dry and see how that comes out. Next, we've got the bridge vents here to deal with. So now we're going to take a little bit of this, and we're just going to go this way. Just to show motion in the water, like that. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. And those we probably won't even touch with dry brushing. Okay, so now there's only one more part to go to. If you look down here, I have some people in the water. So what I did was I used CA and I glued those down in there, and then I poured the first layer of water of the brown, and then I put another layer of water of the clear over that, so that brought it way up, you know, almost waist deep in the water, but the water is actually way up here. So they're back in the water and this one's running. So what we want to do is we have to show the moving water around them. So we're going to take a little bit of this, we go very light and easy. I don't want to get too much in there. And we're going to put some right around their feet here. Now all that's going to dry clear, and then when it dries clear, we'll come back into this area and we'll dry brush a little bit of the tops of the waters here, maybe a little bit here, you know, little bits of it here and there, and that's pretty much done. So now it's just a matter of letting that dry, doing a little more dry brush around that, and I think we're going to call that done. And this scene is pretty much complete. The only thing that needs to get done now is I have more people that are going to go on the beach here. I have some vehicles for here, trees, bushes, and you know, plant life. This has to be, the ballast needs to be put in. Other than that, we're pretty well set here. If you'd like to see the finished product fully complete with the figures and all, visit my website. It's mikestrains.wordpress.com. Come by and visit. I have a lot of other stuff there that you can look at, and there's more pictures of my layout. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next series. Goodbye.